Today, we begin this week by discussing banks and their roles in financial markets. Banks serve as financial intermediaries. It means that they stand and connect between savers and borrowers. Savers deposit their money into banks and receive interest payments, while borrowers take out loans and agree to repay them with interest. Banks collect deposits from savers, lend those funds to borrowers, and earn profit from the difference between the interest they charge on loans and the interest they pay on deposits. In this way, banks help channel funds from individuals who want to save to those who want to invest or spend. To understand how banks operate, we need to examine their balance sheet. A balance sheet is an accounting tool that lists what the bank owns and what it owes. On one side are assets, which represent everything the bank owns, such as reserves, securities, and loans. On the other side are liabilities, which represent everything the bank owes to others, mainly deposit. The difference between total asset and total liability is called net worth or bank capital. The fundamental accounting identity is that asset must equal liabilities plus net worth. This equation ensures the balance sheet always balances. Economists often use a T account to present a bank's balance sheet. A T account is divided into two columns. Assets are listed on the left side and liability plus net worth are listed on the right side. On the asset side, we typically see loans, government securities, and reserves. On the liability and the net worth side, we see deposits and the bank capital. This format makes it easier to track how transactions affect both sides of the balance sheet and helps us understand how banks expand or contract lending. When savers deposit money into a bank, they are technically lending that money to the bank. From the bank side, deposits are a liability because the bank owes that money back to depositors. However, banks, do not lend out every dollar they receive. They are required to hold a portion of deposits as reserves. Reserves are funds kept either as cash in the vault or as deposits at, Federal Reserve. Holding reserves ensures that the banks can meet withdrawal demands and maintain stability. Bank capital or net worth is one of the most important measures of bank health. It represents the difference between total assets and total liabilities. A bank is considered solvent when its assets exceed its liabilities. For example, if a bank has $10 million in capital and $2 million of its loans default, its capital falls to $8 million, but it remains solvent because its assets still exceed its liabilities. However, if a bank has only $1 million in capital and $2 million of loans go bad, liability would exceed assets, resulting in negative net worth. This situation is known as bank failure. To prevent this, regulators require banks to maintain minimum capital levels. The bank's assets are primarily financial instruments. Reserves are funds the bank keeps on hand and does not lend out. Partly, because the Federal Reserve requires banks to maintain a certain percentage of deposit as reserves. Banks also purchase the securities such as U.S. government bonds or state and local government bonds to earn interest while maintaining liquidity. Liquidities, liquidity refers to how easily an asset can be converted into cash. The loans make up the largest and most profitable category of bank assets. These include business loans, consumer loans such as auto loans and credit card loans, and real estate loans like mortgages. Banks face several risks that can lead to failure. One major risk is high rate of loan default. If too many borrowers fail to repay their loans, the, the bank's assets decline in value. Another risk is asset liability mismatch. Banks accept deposits that consumers can withdraw at any time, which are short-term liability. However, banks often lend money through long-term loans such as mortgages, which are long-term assets. If many depositors demand withdrawals at the same time, the bank may not have enough liquid assets to meet those demands. To reduce risk, banks uh, diversify their loans, sell loans in secondary markets, and hold safer assets like government bonds or higher reserves. A recent example of bank failure is Silicon Valley Bank in 2023. The Silicon Valley Bank invested a lot in long-term US Treasury bonds when the interest rates were low. When the Federal Reserve later raised the interest rate, the market value of those bonds declined sharply. At the same time, many technology startup companies withdrew their deposits. To meet this withdrawal, the bank was forced to sell bonds at a large loss, which further reduced confidence and triggered a bank run. This example highlights how asset liability mismatches and interest rate risk can cause bank instability. The banking system has the ability to create money through lending. Banks operate under a fractional reserve system, meaning that they are required to keep only a fraction of deposits as reserves. For example, if the reserve requirement is 10%, the bank must hold 10% of deposit in reserve, but can lend out the remaining 90%. Required reserves are the portion banks must hold, while excess reserves are the portion banks are free to lend. When banks transform excess reserves into loans, the money supply expands. Let us consider a simplified example. Suppose Mars Hill Bank initially has $10 million in deposits and reserves. With 10% reserve requirement, the Mars Hill Bank must hold $1 million at required reserves. This means that it can lend out $9 million as excess reserve. When Mars Hill Bank lends $9 million to Hank's Auto Supply, it keeps 1 million in reserves and creates new loan deposits in the economy. When Hank deposits the borrowed $9 million into Riverville Bank, Riverville Bank now has $9 million in new deposits. With a 10% reserve requirement, Riverville Bank must hold $900,000 in reserves and can lend out the remaining $8.1 million. Jack, Jack's Chevy dealership can borrow this amount and deposit it into Asheville Bank. So Asheville Bank now has $8.1 million in deposits. It must hold 10% or $810,000 as reserves. The remaining $7.29 million can be lent out again. This process continues repeatedly across the banking system. This repeated cycle of redepositing and re-lending causes the money supply to expand. Each bank lends 90% of deposits while holding 10% of in the reserves. Over time, the total money supply becomes much larger than the original deposits. The total expansion of money depends on the money multipliers. The formula for money multiplier is 1 divided by the reserve requirement. If the reserve requirement is 10% or zero point 0.1, the multiplier equals 10. This means an initial excess reserve could support up to $90 million in total deposits. The quantity of money in the economy is closely linked to lending. Except for the original reserves injected into the system, most money exists because banks repeatedly create deposits through loans. This highlights how important the bank lending is to overall economic activity. In practice, banks do not always lend out all excess reserves. They may choose to hold additional reserves due to economic conditions or changes in Federal Reserve regulations. During financial crisis, banks often increase reserves to protect themselves from risk. This decision reduced the total money multiplier effect. Thank you for watching.